Now, I would like to proceed to the continuing our reports with the annual report submitted to us by the Secretariat. Please refer to document 5.b, a report by the Secretariat on its activities 2013 and on the contribution of Category 2 centers to UNESCO strategy and program 2012-13. Madame de Wael, your floor again is open.
But you will see very soon I will be silent for a very long time. Thank you. This report is one among a series of reports, including two reports that will come later on the agenda concerning the use of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund, which is item 11, and the contribution received to the fund, which is item 12. Last year, the Secretariat reported extensively on the global capacity building strategy, and so I will not repeat what was said already in this very large and informative document. I will just mention the progress achieved since the last committee meeting. The report presents the structure of the section again and the changes anticipating in the 2014 year as the sector implements the Convention's Common Service Platform and budget reduction. As you know, UNESCO as a whole has been subject to an important budget reduction which impacts on all sectors and on all then divisions and sections, and the culture sector has undertaken to put in place a common platform of services to the different 6 conventions that UNESCO's cultural sector administrates, and so it is going to change the structure of the section of intangible heritage as some of the logistic aspects or communication aspects, etc., will be taken over by this common platform serving all the conventions. The report continues with main activities of the Secretariat in 2013. The implementation of international assistance that has taken quite a lot of efforts of the section is reported in detail in item 6C, so I will not detail it again here. Concerning awareness raising and communication, the Secretariat has, during the 2013 year, published the list of the inscribed elements. We have approved a number of patronage we have processed the request for patronage, and we have made sure that all the videos of inscribed elements that were inscribed are properly channeled through YouTube channels, so it be available to a larger public than those visiting the website of UNESCO, which unfortunately has less success for the time being than YouTube station. Of some events I would like to highlight, I would recall that the 10th anniversary website that we put in place in order for all stakeholders, be they state parties or other NGOs or any other people organizing events for the 10th anniversary, this website has registered more than 100 events organized worldwide in member states, which means that much more has been organized, because I know some events that were organized for the 10th anniversary and that are not reflected. But even those that are reflected, this number of events is already a very high record of celebrations of the 10th anniversary worldwide. For the Secretariat, as was decided by the General Assembly, we didn't do a lot except organizing the exhibition of the Intangible Cultural Heritage for Sustainable Development that I just referred to a few minutes ago, thanks to the support of Monaco and the National Commission of Turkey. but we participated actively in the Chengdu International Conference on Intangible Cultural Heritage that was organized by China from 14 to 16th of June 2013, which was dedicated to the theme, the Intangible Cultural Heritage Convention, its first decade. And you can see the many contributions to this conference, papers and reports on the website of the convention. The other activity that the Secretariat undertook is the guidance on best safeguarding practices, and here, as I said, we could make progress only on two first practices that have been worked together with the submitting states, namely Brazil and Indonesia, in order to produce a little guide on the use of these best safeguarding practices. It was linked to the Batik Museum for Education Purpose on Batik and on the Fandango Museum in Brazil for practices. And we are going to work more in the coming months, hopefully, to work on other best safeguarding practices. As regards the coordination with Category 2 centers, I must say that this year, 2013, has been particularly intense. We have really taken this Category 2 centers coordination on board even more seriously than before. I recall that there are 6 centers exclusively dedicated to intangible cultural heritage to date, in Bulgaria, in China, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, in Japan, in Peru, and in the Republic of Korea. One center has a shared mandate in both tangible and intangible heritage in Brazil. And then one has been very recently approved in Algeria, and I would like again to extend congratulations to Algeria to join the family of the Category 2 centers in the field of intangible cultural heritage. These centers, Category 2 centers, as all centers, exist to contribute to the strategic objectives, program priorities, and expected results of UNESCO in the field of intangible heritage. And we organized this last July in Sozopol, Bulgaria, the first coordination meeting with all those Category 2 centers to coordinate better and improve the coordination of the network and encourage cooperation between all the centers. I would like to thank Bulgaria for the excellent organization that they provided for this meeting, and as a result, already there is a new coordination mechanism that is put in place during this meeting where the Category 2 centers are going to meet together. The section has as a duty to develop a subsector strategy linked to intangible heritage for the involvement of the Category 2 centers for the period of the medium-term strategy 2014-2021. In the field of capacity building, as you know, it is our most important activity, I would say, which is taking a lot of our time and also resources as far as they are extended in extra-budgetary resource, because unfortunately, because of the budgetary constraint, there were no funds for capacity building under the regular program. The regular program, very small, was only dedicated to the statutory functioning of the convention. So the capacity building was supported through only extra-budgetary money, but we could achieve quite a lot of progress in that regard. To be recalled that this capacity building strategy is largely implemented or principally implemented by the field offices all over the world of UNESCO. We have been going on in developing training material and contents, and we are in a permanent ongoing revision, updating and enlargement of the curriculum as the committee, for example, or the General Assembly is taking its decisions. So after, for example, the 2012 decisions of the committee, we had to update all the material to reflect the latest normative instructions of the committee in that regard. So unfortunately, the material as it is developed is never finished. We have to update it very regularly. As I said also, we have strengthened the network of 79 facilitators, and we have organized 2 meetings recently in September in the Crespial, hosted by Crespial in Peru, in Cusco, where we could make a review with all the facilitators of the Latin American region and the field office colleagues in the Latin American region. We could review the capacity building strategy and review also the way Crespial can be completely integrated in this strategy. And in September, the same month, in another part of the world, in Africa, l'École du Patrimoine Africain, which is located in Benin, was training the network of francophone trainers on inventory making, so as for these trainers to be able to deliver all the capacity building activities that we have months and years in inventory making with the participation of the communities. I must inform you also that the trainers network is also expanding through peer-to-peer mentoring. So those trainers that at the national level, and in particular in Africa, have undertaken to train national trainers so that more and more trainers are acquainted to the material of UNESCO, to the methodology, and that this capacity material can even expand without UNESCO's involvement in a way with national efforts. So this is very positive development, and it is taking place in particular in Africa, but also in Asia, for example, in all those countries where the first phase of capacity building is achieved, and that within the beneficiary we were able to identify very strong experts that can relay these capacity building efforts. As you remember, last year I explained to you that the capacity building program and strategy is not about single, small, short workshops, but is about long-term, multi-year efforts that start with needs assessment, that goes through the inventory process, that goes through the understanding of what it does mean to implement the convention at the national level, that goes through how the intangible cultural heritage safeguarding and recognition can nurture the sustainable development, that goes through the necessity to the revision of the very often legal framework, institutional framework, and so these long-term programs have now been implemented or are ongoing in 64 countries, which is quite a lot if you think that it was started a few years ago, very few years ago. We will go in further details to understand which donors supported this strategy, but I think we can be very happy that already 64 countries could benefit from this long-term program. I think also we will have to speak more on the capacity building strategy in the context of the iOS evaluation, which is the next item on the agenda. Particularly as regards the suggestions to strengthen policy advice and the need to put in place a robust system of monitoring and evaluation of the strategy. So I will not go like that. One other task of the Secretariat, as you may witness and guess from the documents, the many desk, is the preparation of the documentation of the document and the General Assembly. And it's also a very big task that, as it involves not only the documents you have in front of you, but also all nominations and the reports, the periodic reports, the reports on special assistance, etc. That works continue to extend. I told you that you have indeed 30 items on your agenda, so it's a little bit worrying compared to the resources available to do so. And we did succeed, in fact, to put the document online, but it was with great difficulty. And as you will see in the next few items, we have registered quite important delays in some of the processes, in particular the treatment of nominations. Well, so I think the conclusion is that we have managed, despite the difficult period facing UNESCO, to move on. Difficult challenges persist, as confirmed by the General Conference, and I hope the meeting will be able to solve some of the issues. The draft decision we have proposed in this document is very brief, since most of the substantive issues are addressed elsewhere in the agenda with more concrete provisions on each of the aspects. So, all in all, we hope that this document was informative to you, but the draft decision is quite simple for this document. Thank you.
Thank you. The board yet a succinct overview of the work of the Secretariat is given. I take note that almost all of the issues of substance that are raised in this report will be more or less discussed during next debates and the agenda of our meeting. Do you have, I apply to the members of the committee, do you have any questions about Secretariat's work? China. Grenada, please, you're welcome. Grenada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to start, as it is the first time that my delegation is taking the floor, by extending our sincere thanks to the government of Azerbaijan for hosting this session and for the warm hospitality condition in which it is taking place. I would like to thank the Secretary for the report that she just delivered to us, and would like to ask a few questions for clarifications. The first question concerning the new structure of the Secretariat. As we are informed and as we know, the Secretariat was organized in 4 units, and according to the new structure, it will have only 2 units for the future. One of the units that will be in general for all conventions is the governing bodies and processing unit, who is responsible for the preparation and the follow-up of the meetings of the governing bodies. I would like to know who will do in this new structure the follow-up of the decisions, because it cannot be done by one unit. It's very specific to each convention. And who will be dealing with the patronage and the use of the emblem, because also this issue is very specific to each convention and should be dealt with very carefully. And the other question is concerning the Category 2 centers. And following the meeting, there is one recommendation coming from the meeting that in this regard, the need to liaise with UNESCO and should be complement UNESCO's action, and this is good, but it is asked that the link should be made with the representative of the Director General and at the governing body of the center. How, I would like to know how this representative is appointed, and is it possible to liaise first with this representative instead of going with the other field office colleagues and national counterparts? And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I would like only to refer to what was said in the evaluation and audit reports about the UNESCO Secretariat, the Convention, the Secretariat of the Convention work, and just refer to what is said. I quote, "Its work is considered to be of high quality. Overall, its services are much appreciated by state parties who find the Secretariat to be professional, efficient, and responsive." I would like to associate my delegation to what was said by the evaluators. Thank you.
Okay. We would like to proceed with the questions from other delegations, then to answer all together. And please, I apply to our friends, give the questions in short, not discussion, the questions. China, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not raising any questions, but I'd like to make a few comments. This is the first time for China to take the floor. My delegation would like to congratulate on your chairmanship and wish this session be a great success and your guidance. My delegation would like to also express our sincere gratitude for the generosity, considerate arrangements, and hospitality for hosting this session. Mr. Chairman, my intervention will cover two topics. Firstly, taking into account UNESCO's financial situation and the numerous tasks the Secretariat is charged with, we would like to express our deep appreciation on the great efforts that Secretariat has been made in fulfilling its duties. In order to ensure the implementation of the Convention and the effective organization of the statutory work of both and the Committee, we recognize that the Secretariat has been taking proactive approaches towards its major activities, especially the global capacity building strategy and the coordination with Category 2 centers. The Honorable Secretary just mentioned that China hosting the Chengdu International Conference on ICH in celebration of 10th anniversary of the Convention in June. I'd just like to say that China has enjoyed working with the Secretariat and are grateful of the deep involvement and the intelligence input of the Secretariat. In order to ensure we could have consistent quality services of the Secretariat, China would like to continue to support of the work of the Secretariat in terms of supplementary contribution to the sub-fund of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund, Human Resources Loan, etc., so that it could make further steps to implement its functions. Secondly, regarding to the Category 2 centers, we are glad that an 8th center in Africa devoted to intangible cultural heritage was approved. The Category 2 center in Beijing, China, CREHAB, has actively undertaken training activities since the establishment. The most recent program, which is still going on right now in China, is a workshop on the safeguarding and promotion of traditional festivals with over 30 participants from Asia-Pacific countries. We would like to strengthen interaction and cooperation between CREHAB and all the other centers, and between the centers and the Secretariat, so that the centers could have make better contribution to UNESCO's strategy. We could offer to co-organize with UNESCO's another global meeting of the Intangible Cultural Heritage Center when it is appropriate. and further assist with the implementation of the capacity building strategy. Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for your valuable contribution. Morocco, please.
Bonjour. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. C'est la première fois que nous prenons la parole et le Maroc voudrait vous féliciter pour votre élection à la présidente et pour la direction de nos travaux au cours de cette session. Nous voudrions également remercier l'Azerbaïdjan de nous accueillir, le remercier pour son hospitalité et pour l'excellente organisation de cette session. Nous voudrions également remercier le Secrétariat, Monsieur le Président, pour le rapport qui vient de nous être présenté par Madame Duvel. Le Secrétariat est un acteur clé de la mise en œuvre de la Convention. Nous nous félicitons également du travail qui se fait dans le cadre du programme de renforcement des capacités et nous voudrions remercier les centres de catégorie 2 qui s'associent à ce programme qui est important pour l'élargissement et le renforcement de la mise en œuvre de la Convention. Nous voudrions également féliciter l'Algérie pour la création de ce centre de catégorie 2 qui vient s'ajouter à la famille de ces centres, et notamment dans la région de l'Afrique et dans notre région en particulier, et nous espérons qu'il contribuera à une meilleure mise en œuvre de la Convention. Dernière chose, Monsieur le Président, je voudrais m'associer à ce qu'a dit Grenade pour connaître un petit peu ce qui va changer. En gros, ma question au secrétariat serait qu'est-ce qui va changer par rapport à cette plateforme qui vient d'être mise en place? Qu'est-ce qui va changer dans le travail du secrétariat par rapport à la Convention et dans la coordination avec les autres conventions culturelles? Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
So we have this question again to be reported later on. Latvia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As this is the first time Latvia takes floor at this present session, so we'd like to thank the host country and all the organizers of the present meeting and wish all the success for the coming debates. Concerning the report that we are examining, Latvian delegation would like to express the appreciation of the Secretariat's work and effectiveness under the conditions of limited human resources and of significant and growing demands, particularly the important number of nomination files being submitted for eventual listening, and thus important amount of documentation to be treated by the Secretariat. Meanwhile, Latvia strongly encourages the work of the Secretariat on the capacity building and disseminating of best practices of safeguarding intangible cultural heritage, which to our consideration is of prior significance for the implementation of the Convention. We also would like to express our appreciation of the commitment of the Secretariat to raise the visibility of the Convention and thus of the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage in general. Latvia also would like to draw the attention of the Committee to the importance of the strengthening national safeguarding capacities and welcomes the continuous work of the Secretariat in this regard. We also find it of particular significance to intensify support for policy and legislative development, which responds to the growing needs of states parties. The present report gives insight in certain conclusions of analysis carried out already on a project basis, for example, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Bhutan, Dominican Republic, and we very much welcome these analyses being carried out. We also would like to invite the Secretariat, when possible, to make these results of these analyses available widely, as they might be of certain use also for other states parties to the Convention. And this might eventually bring us also to a future comparative analysis of the respective policies and legal instruments put into practice at national level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now the floor is gone to Belgium.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. La Belgique remercie le secrétaire de la Convention pour sa présentation. Une chose est très claire, c'était une année très chargée, mais aussi très intéressante, avec beaucoup d'évolutions positives. Un vrai coup d'accélérateur pour la Convention. On a plusieurs questions, mais comme c'était soulevé par le Président, on va traiter beaucoup de ces sujets à un moment plus tard. Alors la Belgique se limite pour le moment à faire 3 remarques. La première concerne le renforcement des capacités. La Belgique se félicite du nombre croissant de pays bénéficiaires des projets globaux pluriannuels dans le programme de renforcement de capacités. C'était aussi mentionné dans le rapport d'évaluation qu'il y a encore un besoin très fort en termes institutionnels et renforcement de ces capacités. Alors on se félicite vraiment que le programme prend de l'ampleur. Deuxièmement, les rapports périodiques, là, notre pays qui a participé pour la première fois dans ce processus a quelques observations, surtout sur la manière dont on traite les rapports des États parties, mais on va revenir sur ce sujet plus tard dans l'agenda. Troisième point, sur la plateforme qui était créée. La plateforme commune de services, qui était aussi une recommandation de l'audit par le service d'évaluation et d'audit de l'UNESCO. On se félicite aussi de la création de cette plateforme commune, mais on voudrait rejoindre le Grenade et aussi le Maroc aux questions qu'ils ont posées à l'égard de la structure du secrétariat. Mais on s'associe également aux félicitations qui étaient prononcées par le Grenade. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Japan, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Japan would like to join to the other delegation mentioning the great thanks to the hospitality of the host country Azerbaijan and the good coordination of the Secretariat of the UNESCO. As for the Category 2 Center, as the Secretariat mentioned, under the current situation, the Category Center's mandate has become more important than ever. The Category 2 Center in Japan also, like Chinese delegate mentioned, would like to work closely together with the Secretariat in line with the strategic direction of the UNESCO, and also would strengthen liaison with other Category 2 centers so that Category 2 Center would perform better on the shared load of the center. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Namibia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We too, like other delegations who have taken the floor before us, wish to congratulate you, Mr. Chairperson, and to thank your government for hosting this session and the hospitality extended to us. The Namibian delegation wishes to thank the Secretariat for their clear and encouraging report on its activities for 2013, building on the report presented at the last session. We are somehow concerned, Mr. Chairperson, about the few requests for international assistance referred to in paragraph 9 of the document. Of the document, and we would like to understand why this underutilization, as it cannot be because state parties do not need the funding. We wonder whether this is due to the process or the procedures of application for the international assistance. We are glad to note that we will have an opportunity during this session to discuss the use of the international assistance so that we can see how to improve the situation and for the needy state parties to learn from others who have managed successfully to apply for the international assistance. We are also pleased to note the establishment of the Category 2 Center in Algeria and look forward to its close cooperation with African state parties. We commend the Secretariat for their efforts in capacity building, and we are pleased to hear from Mrs. Duvel that we will intensify this capacity building so that in the near future, countries can have their own national trainers. The 79 facilitators are doing an excellent job, but they are stretched, overwhelmed, and countries have to wait long for their service and support. I thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much for these questions. We will respond later. Czech Republic, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Tout d'abord, je voudrais remercier, comme les délégations qui m'ont précédé, le pays hôte pour son hospitalité et le secrétariat pour l'organisation de nos travaux. Nous sommes dans un très beau cadre et je suis sûre que ça nous permettra de travailler efficacement et de bonne humeur, tous ensemble. Notre délégation tient à remercier le secrétariat pour l'ample rapport sur ses activités qui démontre clairement que même dans une situation financière difficile et de manque de ressources humaines, la mise en œuvre de la Convention qui a célébré cette année son 10e anniversaire reste son objectif principal. La liste des activités démontre que le secrétariat ne manque pas une occasion pour souligner l'importance de la sauvegarde du patrimoine culturel immatériel comme l'un des garants du développement durable, de la créativité et du dialogue interculturel. Nous nous réjouissons notamment de la première réunion conjointe des centres de la catégorie 2 pour le patrimoine culturel immatériel qui marque une étape dans justement meilleure peut-être approche de travail de ces centres. Voilà. Finalement, nous sommes très reconnaissants aux pays qui ont pu fournir les contributions financières extraordinaires pour toutes ces activités mentionnées, mais aimerions bien souligner que le travail du secrétariat est absolument crucial et doit être ancré dans le budget ordinaire afin d'être efficace. Nous nous associons aussi à nos collègues de Grenade et du Maroc, pour savoir un peu plus sur cette nouvelle restructuralisation. Cette occasion pour féliciter nos collègues d'Algérie pour la création du nouveau centre de catégorie 2 en Afrique. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Kyrgyzstan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. On behalf of the Kyrgyzstan delegation, I would like to greet all the participants of this meeting and to express our deep gratitude to Azeri government for organizing such a significant meeting here in the region. And I would like to inform that the capacity building program has been taking place in Central Asia, and in 2 last years we have conducted 7 trainings, and in 2 years we can see how seriously it influences and contributes in national capacity building. We see that more actively our countries are involved in the UNESCO activities, and we would like to thank Secretariat for this opportunity. Also, I have 2 points to add. First one, how new structure of Secretariat would influence the connections with national committees, national bodies, is the first point. And second, I would like to support the 3rd point of Grenada. If there is a new process of elections, how national committees and national structures would be involved in this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyrgyzstan. The same questions. So, Uganda, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. Uganda would like to appreciate the quality work done by the Secretariat, especially in the area of capacity building, despite the limited staff. And in that line, I would like to thank the Republic of Azerbaijan, Italy, Japan, and Spain for supporting the Secretariat with experts to fill in the gap. Secondly, I would like to thank the State Party of Algeria for opening up a Category 2 center, which Uganda believes will reinforce the implementation of the convention, especially for the African states. Thirdly, on the issue of monitoring of the trainers and facilitators, Uganda agrees that there is need to have a system of ensuring that the impact of these trainers is extended beyond the activities that they do, because there are few on the ground. I would like to thank you very much for the good job the Secretariat has done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the floor is going to Tunisia.
شكرا. نشكر دولة أذربيجان على حسن التنظيم وحفاوة الاستقبال، كما نهيئ الأمانة على هذا التقرير الحافل والمتنوع، ونهنئ في نفس الوقت وفي الواقع نهنئ أنفسنا بالجزائر بإنشاء مركز ميناء الفئة الثانية. في الحقيقة الملاحظة تتعلق بالمساعدة الدولية بمختلف أنواعها، فنحن نقترحها أن القيام بعمل تقييمي وتأليفي ومقارن في نفس الوقت للوصول لمعرفة التجارب في مختلف البلدان والمناطق، عسى ذلك أن يسمح لنا ليس فقط القيام بالمقارنات وإنما توحيد أساليب العمل وتجاوز الإشكاليات. وشكرا.
Thank you. Any other requests and interventions? I don't see. We are discussing with the we have little time to give floor to our observers, so Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Ethiopian delegation, I want to really share the appreciation of other delegates that have forwarded to the Azerbaijan Ministry of Culture and Tourism for its excellent organization in the presentation of today. I also want to express my thanks and appreciation for the Secretariat for having such a good arrangement. Ethiopia is now delegated and full members, in this occasion, to have such interesting and enlightening discussions of intangible cultural heritage. Really, we want to work together in the future in African condition and by large in the world for the promotion and enhancement of the intangible cultural heritage development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I don't see any other requests. So there were questions which I think we will find better answers from the Assistant of the Director General. If you don't mind, I will ask Mr. Bandarin to interfere.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will focus especially on the question that concerns the organization of the Secretariat, because that is clearly a prerogative of the Director General. Now, I would like first of all to confirm to all of you that even in this difficult situation that UNESCO is meeting at this moment, the Director General and of course all the member states, you all saw it during the meeting of the board and the General Conference, are stressing the importance of the cultural conventions and confirming the commitment of the organization for providing the best possible secretarial services to this very important programs of UNESCO. And that is the good news. But the bad news is that we just finished a general conference 10 days ago that adopted a budget that is 25% smaller than the previous one. So it is obvious, and I will not be honest if I didn't say that there will be consequences of these cuts. 25% of the money, 25% of the staff, 25% of everything that we provided will be not be able to provide. So to cope with this situation, we of course rely on the generosity of the member states, and I've already seen a lot of commitment coming from the room. And we rely, of course, on internal mechanisms of reorganization to streamline our processes, and we rely also on funds that exist and that are available in the organization. Now, for what concerns the second part, the organization, this unit that we are planning to is just one of the smallest, perhaps, part of the reform that will affect the Secretariat in general and the culture sector in particular. This reform has not yet been formally validated by the Director General, but it will in the coming weeks, and will concern the entire structure of the culture sector. Therefore, also the position of the Convention for Intangible Heritage in the culture sector. So it's not just that unit, that is in fact probably the smallest part of the whole reform that is taking place. The unit is intended to streamline processes. As I said, we have several conventions that have similar processes, and we have tried to concentrate in this unit, which is called the Common Services Unit, the functions that are more similar and more, adapted for common services. In particular, we will deal with logistics. This has been done already in the past two years, I would say. The web services, all the publication services and communication and information services, the fundraising, and of course also the use of the web will be in this session. Now, I don't see a particular problem with this because what the Secretariat of the Convention is UNESCO. So whether this is done within one unit or the other, it's really not a big issue. The issue is whether we can deliver the services effectively. And as any organizational change has the need of being experimented through a trial and error process, we will do the reform, and then we will report to you next year on how things have developed, how things have effectively performed. I think that's it for that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Devel, because the questions are concerning you.
Yes, oui, Monsieur le Président, je vais répondre sur les autres points, même si je voulais en continuation avec notre ADG vous présenter une personne qui est, après vous, Monsieur le Ministre, mondialement connu, qui est David Martel, et qui est l'incarnation réelle de ce que c'est qu'un service commun aux conventions, puisqu'il travaille pour l'ensemble des conventions, et vous le voyez dans beaucoup des réunions statutaires. L'idée, c'est d'avoir plusieurs personnes de son profil qui nous aident dans différents aspects. Nous n'avons aucun problème de communication ni de travail du fait qu'il n'est pas, d'un point de vue administratif, rattaché à l'équipe du patrimoine immatériel pour travailler absolument comme s'il faisait partie de l'équipe au moment où il est en train de s'occuper de nous. Vous avez posé des questions en particulier sur le patronage. Ça s'appliquera de la même manière. C'est-à-dire qu'aujourd'hui, la personne à l'unité du patrimoine immatériel qui s'occupe de patronage, bon, elle donne un avis préliminaire, elle vérifie avec toute une liste ce qui convient ou pas, mais enfin, il faut toujours que je valide à un moment donné. Donc là, ce ne sera pas la même personne probablement, mais ce sera le même processus en fait. Pour ce qui est des centres de catégorie 2 et de la recommandation, enfin de comment l'articulation est faite avec les représentants des centres de catégorie 2, les représentants de l'UNESCO et de la directrice générale. Les centres sont régionaux. Et donc, il semble logique que le représentant du directeur général soit quelqu'un qui ait une fonction aussi régionale que possible dans la région concernée. En clair, nous avons 3 régions couvertes pour le moment. Il y a une 4e qui s'ajoute, qui est l'Afrique, mais pour le moment, nous avions 3 régions couvertes. En Amérique latine, nous avons un centre et nous avons la chance d'avoir un bureau régional pour la culture. Et donc, il était très logique que le chef de l'unité culture du bureau de Cuba soit le représentant de la directrice générale. Il se trouve que d'ailleurs, cette personne, qui est Fernando Brugman, est également un ancien collègue de la section. Donc il n'y a aucun problème de communication entre la section et le bureau de Cuba en ce qui concerne la substance de la contribution à apporter en tant que représentant de l'UNESCO au conseil exécutif du centre de catégorie 2. Pour ce qui est de l'Asie, nous avons beaucoup plus de centres. Nous avons 4 centres. On peut considérer 4 centres. Le Japon, la République de Corée, la Chine et la République islamique d'Iran. Là, nous n'avons pas de bureau régional pour la culture, mais nous avons un bureau qui a une vocation régionale pour l'éducation, qui est le bureau de Bangkok. Et là aussi, le chef de l'unité culture, qui est Tim Curtis, est également un ancien membre de la section du patrimoine immatériel, qui a pris cette responsabilité de coordonner la présence dans les différents conseils d'administration de ces centres et qui ensuite anime l'information à tous les bureaux hors siège concernés. Là encore, aucun problème. Et le 3e centre, c'est le centre de Bulgarie qui couvre une 3e région. Et vous avez le représentant du directeur général à mes côtés, de la directrice générale à mes côtés. Et là non plus, il n'y a pas du tout de problème de coordination avec la section puisqu'il fait partie de la section. Donc en fait, pour le moment, nous avons 3 personnes qui animent, on va dire, la parole du patrimoine immatériel, mais qui sont parfaitement alignés avec la section et on est en communication tout à fait constante et fluide. Je voudrais juste rebondir aussi sur 2 autres questions qui ont été posées. L'une qui est plus une satisfaction sur le renforcement des capacités, sur le programme de renforcement des capacités et sur le fait que vous voyez que certains pays commencent à avoir des initiatives nationales pour renforcer ce mouvement. Nous avons pu le faire, j'insiste, uniquement grâce au soutien extra-budgétaire que nous avons reçu d'un certain nombre de donateurs, et en particulier la Norvège et le Japon. Nous pourrons continuer à la seule condition que de telles ressources continuent à être mises à disposition. Nous n'avons pas de visibilité sur plusieurs années sur le type de fonds extra-budgétaires que nous allons avoir, donc que tous les donateurs potentiels, les mêmes ou d'autres, et d'autres je dirais, aient conscience que si cette stratégie peut vivre, c'est uniquement à travers des ressources extra-budgétaires. Et donc j'espère qu'ils seront encore nombreux à vouloir la soutenir dans les années à venir. Sur l'assistance internationale et sur le peu de requêtes qui ont été reçues à ce jour et qui peut effectivement paraître, qui est insuffisant par rapport aux ressources disponibles, ce qui est quand même un comble, je dirais, parce que d'habitude, il y a trop de demandes et pas assez de ressources, et là, on a beaucoup de ressources et pas assez de demandes. Je rappelle quand même que depuis que le fonds est ouvert, plus ou moins en 2009, le fonds est ouvert à la possibilité de faire des demandes d'assistance, nous avons reçu 129 demandes d'assistance, quels que soient les montants, ce qui est quand même un chiffre qui n'est pas si ridicule que ça. Mais en revanche, il n'y en a que 38 qui ont été accordés. La conclusion que nous tirons de ça, c'est que les États ont des besoins, les expriment, mais en revanche, ils n'arrivent pas nécessairement à remplir les conditions de l'octroi. Et c'est pourquoi, dans des points suivants, que je ne vais pas détailler ici, nous proposons d'expérimenter un nouveau système pour que nous, le secrétariat, fournissions un accompagnement beaucoup plus encadré à ces pays qui demandent pour que leurs demandes elles-mêmes soient formulées de telle sorte qu'elles puissent avoir beaucoup plus de chances d'être accordées. Donc nous allons vous proposer au cours de ce comité une nouvelle formule qui devrait permettre d'améliorer considérablement le taux de réussite, on va dire, de ces demandes, sachant que ça suppose aussi un peu plus de travail de la part du secrétariat qu'il faudra envisager dans l'ensemble de son travail en général, parce que le cumulatif est souvent problématique, comme vous le dira le directeur du service d'évaluation cet après-midi. Merci.
Thank you very much. Again? Mali. I can't see Mali. What is it?
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais, avant la fin de cette session, exprimer le remerciement de mon pays, le Mali, qui, comme vous le savez, a connu ces 2 dernières années une crise très grave qui a impacté sur son patrimoine. Donc, exprimer le remerciement disais-je, de mon pays, d'abord à l'Azerbaïdjan pour avoir accueilli cette grande rencontre, et ensuite au secrétariat du comité du patrimoine culturel immatériel, avec lequel nous avons beaucoup travaillé pour l'aboutissement de ce programme important financé par suite à une demande d'assistance internationale le 28 octobre dernier. Et donc consécutivement au comité du patrimoine ici présent, dire toute notre profonde gratitude. Et nous souhaitons toujours l'accompagnement du secrétariat qui est effectivement très efficace. Et enfin, nous voulons saluer l'Algérie pour la création de ce centre de 2e catégorie qui est le nôtre, parce que l'Algérie, c'est une continuité culturelle avec le Mali. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. My dear colleagues, I think that we had quite an efficient discussion, start of very interested approach to the matters discussed, and my consideration is that we have to understand that by all means some changes will take place, more or less, but the most important thing is not to have the minor influence of these changes. So we will work in favor of the upgrading the level of efficiency of the work of Secretariat, we hope, all of us, and of course of the future activity and support to the centers and to the general activity. From this point of view, I would like to ask you to approve the report which have been done, and if we will come again back to the document 5B, then I think that in spite of having a lot of questions, most of them were appreciating the activity, so I would like to show the draft on the screen and apply to you to adopt decision in a whole, if you don't mind. I don't see objections. That's why decision 8.com5.b adopted. Dear colleagues, according to our agenda and schedule, we are nearly approaching the break. So we're supposed to have lunch at 1 o'clock, which will be served just outside the hall. On 2 floors, so there is sufficient place. But at the same time, we have some announcement which I would like to do before we leave the room. Members may wish to start consultations about each electoral group's candidates for during this lunchtime and break. Subsidiary body, the same. Consultative body. Electoral group 1 is NGO, and electoral group 2 and 4 experts. Bureau. For your information, please note that the next session of the committee will probably take place in UNESCO headquarters in Paris. That allows for more flexibility when proposing the next chair. To refresh our members, all of the electoral groups have presided at least one session of the committee. Group 1, 2 and 1, 3 and 5A did it once, group 2 and V B twice, and group 4 3 times. Let remind you that those eligible to serve on the Bureau and subsidiary body are those countries that will continue to be committee members during the next cycle. There are EG1, Belgium, Greece, EG2, Latvia, EG3, Brazil, Peru, Uruguay, EG4, Kyrgyzstan, EG5A, Namibia, Nigeria and Uganda, and EG5B, Egypt and Tunisia. I would like to note that on the fourth floor of this hotel we are starting at 1 o'clock the press conference, which will be held by the chairperson and secretary and the assistant to the general director. All of those who have not yet registered, please do so at the entrance. If you are pre-registered and do not pick your badge, your name will be deleted from the participant list. That's why please pick up your badge. We are meeting again promptly at 3 p.m. Please come a little bit earlier to start our activity in time. And the room will be remained opened, so take care about your belongings, personal belongings. I'm sure that nothing will happen, but for any case. Meeting of the NGOs will be at 1 o'clock at room Amirjan today, here. And bon appetit and have a nice break.